I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm an entrepreneur.
So you started a startup. Now what? Probably have to figure out how to sell whatever it is that you do, whether that be a product or service or anything else. And you might be having a hard time doing that, so you are looking into different forms of paid advertisement. Now, one of the more common ones, and the reason that Facebook and Google are amongst the biggest companies in the world, is they sell what is known as CPC, cost per click advertisement. In this video, I'm going to give you a few tips, a few things I've learned along the way for creating effective CPC ads and doing it within a budget that your startup can afford. So CPC ads have become a go-to for any type of industry, any type of business. Why? Because people are online. Look at Facebook. Facebook has 2 billion monthly users, meaning 2 billion out of 7 billion people on the planet use Facebook on a minimum on a monthly basis. And with that, all of these companies and platforms are really sophisticated when it comes to helping you target where your ads go, who sees them, and in most cases, what occurs if that viewer or the person that gets the impression on your advertising chooses to take action. When it comes to paid advertising, you're going to have a ton of choices. You got Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. I mean, they just go on and on and on. So you have to first start by trying to find the platform that you feel best suits whatever message it is that you're trying to convey. Now, I mean, Facebook, it's pretty broad. Trust me, whoever you're trying to reach is using Facebook somewhere. But in some cases, if you have a business-related product, if you're trying to hire employees or doing a lot of things, maybe a platform like LinkedIn could work. Then you have other things to consider too, as far as like who is the demographic of whom you're trying to reach. For example, if you're trying to reach people that are 65 and older, TikTok might not be the right place for you to do that. So you have to first begin to choose what digital platform you're going to do CPC ads on. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what those are and what I have found over the years to be the pluses and minuses associated with each one. All right, let's go ahead and start with Google, the godfather of CPC ads. So anytime you search on Google and those first results that are up at the top that say ad, those are CPC ads. Now with that, Google, who more or less invented the concept of CPC ads in the digital world, has a remarkably sophisticated way to help you find your customers, your clients, whoever it is that you're looking for. Now with that, you're going to have to start by defining the kind of keywords or messages or phrases that people are searching for that you want to be found under. Now, I am going to give you a little warning. Google wants you to use their ad setup platform, and it's set up in a way that you're going to not be very good at it in the beginning. And one of the things that I wish was a little more prevalent and a little easier to find within Google Ads and their platforms is the negative keyword option. Negative keywords, in my opinion, are everything when it comes to targeting your advertising. I'm going to give you an example. So I'm the founder of Gigabook, and that's online appointment booking. So when we first started our Google ad campaigns years ago, we noticed that we had a ton of people clicking, that turned out to be looking to set an online appointment to get a driver's license. That's right. Nowhere near the kind of user that we were seeking. They were people that wanted to make an appointment to do a driver's test, take an exam, and renew their license. So we had to go in and set up negative keywords or terms, searches, phrases. You can do them as individual keywords. You can make them a broader expanse. You can get them to exact keywords that under no circumstance did we want our ads to show. Why? Because those are wasted clicks. You're literally throwing money, flushing it down the toilet. it is not effective. So in order to get your ads in front of the right people, you also need to start considering how to get them out of view of the wrong people. Now, whether you know it or not, Google owns YouTube. And YouTube is a great place to advertise certain things. Now with it, it is wildly different in your approach to how you get people's attention. On YouTube, you're gonna have very similar options for defining your target viewer and the people that you want, but your approach has to be a lot different. Now, if you are a subscriber to YouTube's premium product, you don't see ads the same way that everyone else. But if you don't, you are very familiar with ads that are before any type of content, ads that are in the content, and ads that are in the end. So there is a different approach with a skippable ad. So with a skippable ad, that is what you see that shows for about 5 seconds before you see what you really came there to see. Now, keep that in mind. You have 5 seconds to get someone's attention. So you need to come out storming. You shouldn't have 5 seconds that's an intro that doesn't say what you do, how you do it. You need to come out of the corner like an angry fighter ready to go. This is what I do, and this is how we do it. This is the problem we solve. Keep watching. Because if you don't do that, I can guarantee you that your ads are going to get skipped. Now, when it comes to other types of ads that go in there, they also have a 15-second non-skippable. Those typically show within a video. Now, that's not always my favorite one, because I feel when I'm watching a video and I get an ad like that, I'm wanting to see the other side of the video and not necessarily leave and go to another one. But with the 15-second ad, you basically have a captive audience for 15 seconds. And once again, your ads cannot be longer than 15 seconds or YouTube, same company, is not gonna run them. All right, let's move on to Facebook. And right now, Facebook, who also owns Instagram, so you know what? Let's just bundle them together. Facebook and Instagram share the same ad platform. They're the same company, even though they're different platforms. Now, I find there to be a lot of similarities between who you can reach on Facebook, which is pretty much anyone. But overall, you have a remarkably refined and sophisticated way to determine who you want to see. You can choose by age, by gender, interests, demographics, locations, a whole lot of different stuff that let you be really targeted. Now, when it comes to Facebook and Instagram, recently, I find Instagram, my cost per click and my conversion rates are more expensive. I'm not really sure why, to be honest, but they are. So with Facebook, you have a whole lot of different options. You can do video ads, you can do regular just image ads, you can do carousel ads, products, a whole lot of different stuff. And recently they launched a lead gen option, meaning you can collect data for someone that may, like name, phone number, address. You can ask specific qualifying questions and stuff like that. The lead gen option is really clever and can help you capture information. However, you will find it to be kind of expensive, but what's your next hot lead worth? That's something you need to consider. Now, when creating ads for either of these platforms, there's one thing you have to really keep in mind. People are scrolling. They're sitting on their phone or whatever, just doing this, and your ad is flying by. So you need to keep it simple. You need to keep it bold. And for example, the Startup Hustle podcast, we had an amazing ad campaign that I still lean on that says nothing other than a podcast for entrepreneurs on the image. And with that, it says everything we need. Look, you're not making the transaction in the ad itself. You just want the person that's seen it to click on it and go wherever you want them to go. So you do have to give some thought and just consideration to where they're landing. The ad's job is to get you to click it. That's it. I hear people say all the time, I tried paid ads, I tried to do this and they didn't work. And I say, why? So I got 300 clicks, but no one bought anything. That's probably not the ad's fault, people. It's probably what's going on wherever you have them landing. So when it comes to Facebook, when it comes to IG, keep it simple, keep it straightforward, make it stand out. All right, so we're still on the Facebook and Instagram section of this, but this advice really applies to all platforms, but I'm going to use some terms that are pretty specific to Facebook and Instagram. First off, you're going to have to give some consideration to what kind of goals you want to achieve. Like, for example, you could have brand awareness. Now with the brand awareness campaign, you're just trying to show it to as many people as possible. You're trying to get the word out. You're trying to build recognition and notoriety for your name, your product, or whatever it is you need to do. Next is you have lead generation, which is what I just talked about. Now, these are specific forms that are made and built to capture information. So, which by the way, is harder to do. People just don't want to fill out forms. They don't want to put their phone number into things. When it comes to lead gen and forms, if you want people to fill them out, I will tell you, the more questions you put on there, the more steps you put on there, the more you will dramatically reduce the effectiveness and the results that you get. So keep it simple. Don't ask for too much. Don't ask for too much info. If you're asking for phone numbers, especially, people are real sketchy about giving those out because they don't want people calling them and trying to sell them stuff. So the more stuff in your lead gen ask, the less conversion that you're going to get. Next, we have audience engagement. Now, engagement means people doing something with the ad, clicking the like button, the thumbs up, any of that, maybe clicking a link, going to a specific page. This is a different approach. Facebook and Instagram's algorithms are really good at identifying the users they have that interact with advertisers' ads. So if that's the option that you pick, you get a lot of great stuff there. Now, in the event that you are advertising, you have to do this through your page or your Instagram account. Everyone that engages with your ad, you can go back and ask them to like your page after. So in some ways, you get a 2-for-1 there. All good options, but figure out which one's the most important for you. All right, let's talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the world's largest business. It's social networking for business people, and it has a very, very targeted way of advertising. That said, I also find out of all of the options for advertising, it can be the most expensive. Now look, expensive isn't always bad. If you have a highly targeted audience, well, that's why they're charging you more. The more you thin it down, the more you target it, when you get it laser sharp, it's okay to be paying more because you're not going to have wasted clicks. You're not going to have a lot of different stuff. Overall, when it comes to LinkedIn, I find it to be great for advertising business to business, whether it be software, services, anything. It's great for recruiting for jobs. It's good for a whole lot of stuff, but it's not going to be very good if you're trying to sell cupcakes or crafts or something like that. But if you are seeking or need to sell business services, to reach businesses, to reach business people, and to sell and offer solutions that, once again, businesses are interested in, it might be your best choice. All right, moving on down the line, let's go to Twitter. Now, I'm going to tell you before I give you advice here, I'm personally just not a big Twitter person. That said, I'm not a huge advertiser on Twitter, so my advice here might be somewhat worthless. But much like the other ad platforms, you're going to see options for advertising that are going to put you on specific pages, things related to specific tweets. I mean, overall, it's got the same approach as Facebook, Instagram, Google, all of that. And it can be a good approach. I'm going to not get too far into Twitter because I'm not going to pretend to have a whole lot of experience or expertise with it. All right, one thing to consider before we get into any of these CPC platforms and what they do is the fact that all of them are going to offer you what they call access to an audience network. I am not a big fan of the audience network. There's a whole lot of reasons why, but the audience network is them placing your ads on third-party sites, other platforms, and stuff like that. The reason I don't like them is, quite honestly, I don't have a lot of trust in it. There's a lot of information and things that have occurred in the past that point towards, it's not the social media platforms, but sometimes the websites that these are placed on are doing things to click the ads a little bit more. They're often thrown onto sites that are loaded with ads and put in a way that they will get clicked, but they don't convert as much. So when it comes to getting your initial CPC strategy figured out, I really recommend that you keep it narrow, keep the campaigns different, like don't mix the platforms, don't mix the audience network in there. Really try to get some data quickly when it comes to what's working and what isn't. Let's talk about goals and tracking conversions for a second. If you went to the gym and you went out on the basketball court, would you take a bunch of shots and not look to see if any of them went in? That's exactly what you'll be doing if you don't set up goal tracking. Now, regardless of what platform you choose to use, you have the option of creating goals and defining what a conversion is. It might involve putting some tracking codes on your site or doing some other things. However, this is the fastest, easiest way to understand what is working, what is not, and you need to be prepared to track the goals. Why? Well, one, you don't want to keep spending money on things that aren't working, but but more importantly, when you do find something that is working, you get to turn up the dial, get to try to scale it up. Now that is every marketer's dream. For me personally, I tell people all the time, I'm looking for a crack, and when I find it, I'm trying to then figure out how quickly I can shove an elephant through that crack. That's what you're looking for. So you have to be able to track everything you're doing, see what's successful, what isn't, turn some things up and turn some things down. All right, so now you've set some goals. You know what you're trying to convert. You need to be prepared to be very scientific in the early stages of your exploration into cost per click advertising. Why? Well, you can throw a lot of money away in a hurry. Also, you have to figure out what works, what's getting engaged with, and what isn't. So that said, you can place an ad on any of the platforms we're going to talk about today for $1 a day. I mean, maybe $5 a day, not much, but it will be enough to give you some idea of what is working and what isn't. I personally can tell if a campaign is going to work within its first day or not. I mean, that's literally about all I need to understand cost of engagement, whether things are going well, whether they're not. In the history of the thousands of CPC ads and campaigns that I've created for my businesses, the ones that are doing well right away always end up to be the champions. I have yet to see one that started terribly, was overpriced and way too expensive, only to later become the most successful thing that we did. You have to be ready to adjust and adjust. Don't be afraid to make an adjustment. 3 words you need to know in marketing: test, test, test. You have to try a lot of different things. You test it, it works, it doesn't. Be very binary. It is either successful or it's not. If it is somewhat successful, that is still not successful, people. You need to figure out what is successful, and the only way to do that is to test, test, test. You can do that at a low cost. Almost no barrier to entry on all these platforms. So make sure you remember my 3 cardinal rules of marketing: test, test, test. Hopefully these tips will help you generate and create successful cost per click marketing campaigns and advertisements for your business. While you're here, reach down, hit that subscribe button, and come and check out what we're doing at Startup Hustle TV. Do you want to see the real story, like the real day-to-day stuff of what goes on in an entrepreneur's life? That's what we do. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, whatever it is. We'll see you there.